So this gives us interesting insight into exactly this topic, which is eliminating trial and error from the start of your campaign. Because basically, what we're going to do is before we actually start, we're going to take a look at what's going on around us. So basically, we'll take a look at who else is advertising, who the competitors are, and do you actually know who your competitors are, and see what they're doing. Because once we know what they're doing, then we can figure out actually how we fit in. So, a quick analogy. Before you start a campaign, it's kind of like standing on the edge of a pool and you don't know if the water is nice or not. So when you were a kid, probably you were told, well, you should just jump in. You know, you'll get used to the water. And probably you put your toe in the water and you know, it's kind of cold. I don't know if it's good. But should you just jump in? Is the water actually good? So what else can you do besides sticking your toe into the water? Well, you can look at who else is in the pool already and what the reaction is like. So people jump in and then jump back out, or people in there and they're just standing there shivering, or people in there and it looks like they're having a good time. And how we're going to do that is we're going to do reconnaissance. So the most important step here is to identify your real competitors. And the thing is, a lot of people don't understand who the real competitors are. So if you have a client or even yourself and you're in a market and you probably know a little bit about who competes with you, but do you understand the full scope of the market and who's actually doing what? And then we need to check what they're doing, and the most important part after we identify who they are, we need to avoid their mistakes, which are actually very obvious, and find holes in their advertising, and then build from what we see is successful, which also is actually very obvious. There's a couple great tools to do this. So basically what we're doing is we're figuring out who our competition actually is, and then we're going to do some research on them. One note about competition. Transactional versus informational keywords, probably you've heard of that. But basically, you don't compete with things like blogs if you're a retail site. It's pretty obvious. Different keywords mean people are looking at different things. They have different intent behind them. So now that we've identified our actual competition, we'll identify what's actually going on in the landscape and basically see how we fit in. A few simple things we can do. One is make sure that we're actually not bidding on something ridiculous. And how do you define ridiculous? Well, it's a little bit mathematical. If several people bid on a keyword and you don't bid on that keyword, probably you're the one missing something, especially if it's a product that you have. If a keyword seems really good, but nobody else is bidding on it, there's probably some reason, even if you don't understand what it is off the bat. So we're actually going to start from a proven foundation, which plays off of what I just said about several competitors bidding on something. Really, what we can do is combine their experience.